The BoyleSports.com Derby quarterfinals. Adios Alonso and Prevalence, joint favourites at 3-1. Mucky Eamon, Brazing Serpent and Maffy Magic, all 4-1. Drive on Guest at 5s. First quarter-final of the BoyleSports.com Derby. Drive on Guest in the red, owned by Thomas O'Donovan from Farranree, and Mucky Eamon for Father and Son, Don and Ger Berkeley from the Castle Down Macroom. They're away. Red Drive on Guest, white Mucky Eamon, and Mucky Eamon on the inside sees an early advantage from Drive on Guest as they climb the hill. Mucky Eamon in the white collar leading as they race up now to the first turn, and white collar Mucky Eamon from Drive on Guest. A bit of a difference of opinion as they shift apart, but Mucky Eamon to meet either Prevalence or Adios Alonso in the first of the semi-finals. Mucky Eamon in a time there of 12.96 in the first quarter-final. It's true for the Buckleys. Red collar Prevalence, owned by Joan Hutton Carlo. Adios Alonso and the white, owned by the Holy and Mar O'Sullivan Syndicate here in Clonmel, as the two joint favourites side by side now are about to get the slip from Richie Quinn. Red Prevalence, white Adios Alonso. Red collar Prevalence is away in front of Adios Alonso in the early stretches of the course. Prevalence and Adios Alonso. Adios now just goes to the front of the far side, white collar. Adios Alonso going on from Prevalence as they climb the hill. Adios Alonso will pull off another one. Adios Alonso led out, but very soon change gears. Adios Alonso in a time of 12.87.
Well, Prevalence here and the other joint favourite, Adios Alonso. Prevalence looked to have it early on. Adios Alonso, though, watch the determination, and when he gets into top gear, this Adios Alonso, owned by the Magic Trio Syndicate in Carrigean, by Basil Holy and Richard Marr and John O'Sullivan, and trained by Jerry Holy, and getting in for the opening turn ahead of Prevalence.
Red collar Brazing Serpent, owned by the Bristol Knight Syndicate from Mount Mahon. Caesar Music white, the Patsy and the Boys Syndicate Cashel. Here comes now this third quarter-final of the BoyleSports.com Derby. Brazing Serpent red versus Caesar Music white, and it's red Brazing Serpent who's away in front as they climb the hill now, and it's Brazing Serpent in the red collar out in front and comfortably ahead of Caesar Music as they climb the hill. Red collar Brazing Serpent still maintaining this lead, and it's growing all the time. Brazing Serpent, the red collar, trained by Jerry Griffin, owned by the Pistol Knight Syndicate from Mount Mahon, has easily put Caesar Music out there in a time of 12.94. Red collar Maffy Magic, owned by the Shamrock Bar Syndicate in Kilworth, and High and Mighty in the white, owned by Kieran Flynn Tarbert and Michael Boland. The last quarter-final of the BoyleSports.com Derby, and the two Bexhill owns are away. Red collar is Maffy Magic, white is High and Mighty. High and Mighty on the inside of Maffy Magic as they climb the hill now. Nothing between them, side by side, and it's red collar. Maffy's going to the front now. Maffy Magic going on from High and Mighty as they climb and close in. Maffy Magic and Brazing Serpent line up in their semi-final in a time should appear now very imminently 12.91, the second best time in the quarter-finals.
Joining me now, I have the president of the Irish Coursing Club, Brian DeVilly. Brian, you must have some great memories coming back in Powerstown through the years.
Oh, indeed I have. Great memories of coursing and being participating at this stage and getting beaten in two finals of a derby.
Of course, you have one of the famous prefixes, the Crafties, and can you tell me what some of those and those two finals?
Well, 1 year we were beaten with Crafty Triller in the final. We got a hard course in the semi-final, and he got beaten in the final, and then we got beaten with Crafty Hotshot in the final another year as well.
Of course, a lot of those famous lines were started off by that great bitch Little Shoe.
That's right, and Little Shoe was what made us. She was a great brood bitch, and she's well represented here today in all the back breeding, and she'll be represented here mostly by Brazen Serpent here in the semi-final. She goes back to Tullamore, and Tullamore goes back to Crafty Toledo out of Little Shoe.
Great history there, and so far we have a great meeting, great hares. It's all very open, isn't it, this year?
Very open, and anybody could win at this stage. Fantastic dogs, fantastic bitches here. It's a credit to the committee here. The hares are absolutely fantastic, and a lot of people probably don't realise it, but the work these people have put in for the last 2 months, it's unreal, and it's bearing fruit today with the hares. Probably the best coursing we've seen in the whole season is what we've witnessed here in the last 2 days and on our third day.
Brian, pleasure to talk to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you.
Well, there's the man of the moment, Eugene Coney, making sure that proceedings are well underway there, and Eugene enjoying the action also. He's been a busy man over the past number of days, and always does a wonderful job here at Clonmel in making sure the proceedings are run to their very best.
Semi-finals of the boysports.com derby. Adios Alonso, the 7-4 favourite. Maffy Magic 5-2, as is Mucky Eamon. Brazen Serpent at 3-1. The first semi-final of the boysports.com derby. Mucky Eamon in red, owned by Don and Jared Buckley down in Macroom. White is Adios Alonso, the Holy and Morrow Sullivan syndicate here in Clonmel. And here they come, red Mucky Eamon. White is Adios Alonso. And they're away, and it is red colour Mucky Eamon who just leaves out Adios Alonso over on the far side now, who begins to draw level. And Adios Alonso coming home with a spirited run on the far side. The money still looks to be right. It's Adios Alonso now going on from Mucky Eamon as they close in on the opening points. It goes to Adios Alonso. Adios Alonso will be up with either Brazen Serpent or Maffy Magic in a clock there of 13:01. Adios Alonso in the white. This fellow trained by Jerry Holian, and in the Holian Mar O'Sullivan syndicate owned partnership here in Clonmel, is into the final of the derby.
Well, Mucky Eamon, he's in the red collar here, and he was well away from the Adios Alonso on the white. There was not much separating these two early on, and now look at Adios Alonso. Look at the pace he's shown. He's been brilliant throughout the derby. The son of Janie Macaroon, owned by the Holian Mar O'Sullivan syndicate from Clonmel, and he's trained by Jerry Holian, Basil Holian, Richard Marr and John O'Sullivan will be thrilled to be in the derby final.
Red collar, Brazen Serpent, owned by the Pistol Knight syndicate from Mount Mahon. White of Maffy Magic, the Shamrock Bar syndicate, Kilworth and Cork. Here out now. Here's the second semi-final of the boysports.com derby. Winner's prize, €35,000. Red Brazen Serpent, white is Maffy Magic. Maffy Magic, the white, is away in front, but only just the red collar. Brazen Serpent on the near side, half a length between them as they climb the hill. It's Maffy Magic still showing in front as they head uphill now. Maffy Magic in the white collar is going away from Brazen Serpent. Up to the turn, white collar, Maffy Magic. Buxy's placed in the final with Adios Alonso. Maffy Magic, the early season favourite at 13:12 there of a time. Taking that other derby semi-final.
Well, let's have a look at this again. Look at the white collar, Maffy Magic. He's a tough customer. There was shrewd money around on Sunday for this fella to win the derby, 12s to 6s, and when he got away here in the white, Maffy Magic from the red collar Brazen Serpent, but right up to the top of the field, it was Maffy Magic, owned by the Shamrock Bar syndicate in Kilworth. Won't there be some party down there tonight if Sean O'Callaghan, Richard Murphy and John Healy and Patrick Burke's charge can go on and win another course in this year's derby.
The boysports.com derby final. Red Adios Alonso, owned by the Holy and Mar O'Sullivan syndicate Clonmel, trained by Jerry Holian. White is Maffy Magic, owned by the Shamrock Bar syndicate from Kilworth, trained by Donald Leahy. The boysports.com derby is upcoming. Red Adios Alonso is led out by Maffy Magic in the white, but now Adios Alonso, the red collar, gaining the upper hand and going on. It's Adios Alonso as they head up the hill. Adios Alonso with Maffy Magic fighting on the inside, but Adios Alonso has won the derby, and a mighty big double for Jerry Holian. Adios Alonso has raised the roof here.
Well, look at that for a big hug for the Derby winner. And how can you blame him? What an achievement to win the BoyleSports.com. And there's the sportsmanship, the handshake, everything. Adios, Alonso. What a greyhound. He clocked up, remember, the fastest in the opening round. He was, oh my God, they were talking about him Monday morning. And has he lived up to that? He's come through some stiff tests over the 3 days. They are absolutely delighted, the connections. He's the son of Janie McAroo out of Owenbui. She herself got to the last date in the Hotel Manila Oaks a couple of years ago, and now her son has gone on to win the Derby, and he's absolutely delighted. Connections, we've done it, we've done it, we've done it. Celebrations can begin.
The money was certainly right.
On the button, and the money wasn't far away in Maffy Magic. We're going to have a look back at this year's BoyleSports.com Derby. Alonso's in the red, Maffy Magic is in the white. They came away from slips, not much between them. Now the red collar of Adios Alonso. He's owned by the Holy and Mar O'Sullivan Syndicate in Clonmel. And as he strides up towards the top of the hill, Maffy Magic was coming back. But Adios Alonso, owned by Basil Holy and Richard Marr and John O'Sullivan. There'll be a couple drank tonight after he lands the Derby in fine style from Maffy Magic. There he is, the champion.